the main reason is Canada, it's the part of the international agreement, and that international agreement basically dictates what you have to do or what you cannot do. And simply at the end of the day, it's just about the dollars, because if the birds stay alive, Canada is put on the bad spot, and you cannot export the meat or animal products or the bird products. And it doesn't matter whether it can be same with the tuberculosis and mad cow disease and any other diseases, and we've seen this in the past.
Well, in the wake of Spirit's death, that is the formerly injured hen who, under the CFIA's care, just went downhill so fast, and footage showed her being neglected and has now passed. The farmers just got some new word here from their vet. That was the CFIA's demand. They wouldn't just talk directly to the farmers. They're making them go through all of these hoops. They had to have their vet come. And some of the new information, I spoke with Karen Espersen, and here's some of what she had to say.
So what were you told? Is your vet here talking to their vets?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what do you know
he
so
was
far?
told that he could do no blood testing, that only look at one hen with a compromised knee. We've sent him in with a detailed list of birds. One rooster that this past 2 months ago hit a marmot hole, broke his toe. We tried to correct it. We couldn't. So he was to the point where when we had left him, he was walking and walking okay. But he definitely needed another year in that pen, and probably live there the rest of his life in that pen. And there's one older bird that was half blind, also lived in that pen, and they all got chased out. So that is a major concern. We have 3 hens that had compromised legs that lived in that pen, laid eggs, they were happy, but just wouldn't do well in the general public. So we're always watching, making sure that our animals...
with mainstream media, please. Mainstream media. They did not have pre-existing conditions that led to the death. They had a condition that was brought onto them by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, bringing out the RCMP and the drones that flipped over the fence twice. So very well, Betsy could have even in this. We don't know if she had a re-injury if she's limping.
They never addressed her before, and then all of a sudden they said, well, there's number 10 in that pen too. So obviously Betsy's limp. They decided that, we better get her in. But now the boy with the broken toe, he was happy. He actually even tried to dance about 3 weeks ago. So we knew he was on his way to good recovery. But now he's been pushed out in the general public. He could be severely hurt, that toe again.
And negligence.
They're not acknowledging him.
No, it's animal cruelty and negligence. And absolutely, Mom is so right. And that was an injury pen. It wasn't a sick pen. It's an injury pen. And they had no consideration to that at all. But the vet is going to continue to. They said no testing, no blood tests. He's still pushing. We don't know where that's going to go. But he's still, or asking at least the age-old question, why? And I think that's what the world. We could all go home. The world could sleep if they allowed him to do
the testing.
Any further communications about the request to have Spirit's body and bury her, or is that too late now?
We've asked. They said that they did their own autopsy, and they have tissue samples, but their vet's saying at this point they don't feel it necessary to send the samples away. Our vet is actually going in today and requesting that those samples do get sent away for further testing.
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
third party,
And we've asked numerous times to be able to have the body, to bury it, to
lay her to rest
the way she should be.
What do you make of it being basically 2 weeks that they've been here? Much of that has been under a stay where it's paused, and all of the tax dollars, all of the resources just sitting here and waiting for the court's decision instead of going home.
And during an interim stay order, there are animals. This is still our land. And them handling the animals in any way that they have been, in any that is different than how they would have been cared for by the family, this is all negligence. And again, interim stay order, what does that mean if you win a stay order? What does it mean?
Well, and the same thing is now at nighttime it's getting colder, and I've addressed this in a few emails, that we have to start getting all their bedding spots ready for the winter. We have to really make sure that they're being treated adequately as the weather conditions change.
Yeah.
But again, nobody is addressing or answering. They
The
might
animal- the
acknowledge
welfare of
themselves
the
that they're getting
animals.
it, but
The
they're not
welfare of the
acknowledging
animals.
it to us. Yeah.
Maybe they see them just as because they're killing them, which they seem to be a kill machine. That maybe because they're killing them, they don't have to take the proper care. But that's just, again, pretty bold on their behalf.
And just one more time, loud and clear for the mic this time. Did Spirit have pre-existing conditions before the CFIA came here?
No. She had a leg injury, but she was healed. She was doing great. She was almost ready to be released to the general population. And then we had the drones fly over on the Monday. You can see it on our lives, screaming for them to stop. Get the drones out of here. They didn't understand that it was putting all of the ostriches into panic. She flipped not once. She flipped over once. We got her up. We got her settled, her feet under her, and then the drones came back again, and she flipped over the fence again in panic and traumatized. And that is what led to her demise. So it was their drones that caused this injury. But I think the death is the negligence of Canadian Food Inspection Agency lying about administering the electrolytes that would have hydrated her, given her her strength, and administering the antibiotic and anti-inflammatory that was started while we were in the pen, and they didn't follow through. They've been lying the whole way through. They've been caught, and there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide anymore. We have amazing supporters everywhere taking video, taking pictures. There's nowhere to hide. Just be honest.
All right, Chris Dacey with Dacey Media. So what did you see? You were saying something interesting.
Yeah, so just right now, the veterinarian is taking off all of his hazmat suit and quarantine stuff. But interestingly, just prior to this, the RCMP first came, so they met with these people in the suits, like directly.
Yeah.
Then came with a message to Karen about some medication. They went and got the medication, then physically took the medication. I watched them and filmed them walk and directly hand it to these same people in outfits. Now that the vet's coming out, though, it's a little different. He's he's taking off his thing. They're spraying him down. And, But I mean, the people seem to interact and walk right by each other. And I don't really know about how these quarantines are supposed to work, but this looks a little strange.
Well, it's such a charade. We know on day one we saw them going past the quarantine zone without their PPE. We also know that quite interestingly, they are parked without PPE on top of the burial site of the former ostriches that did pass away from the illness. They've set up shop on top of that hot zone, which is the hot zone that even the farmers are told they have to wear PPE in. Yet that's where they're all hanging out without their PPE. It's such a joke.
Yeah. I mean, all of it seems to be a show, and none of this is safety or I mean, it's here they come too. It looks like so these people were all just interacting with the marshmallow suits, right? And they're going to walk right out here. The vehicles too. It's interesting because there was a video put out by the farm a while, but I saw it recently of the procedure that they went through before to disinfect their trucks. One truck only used. As it came out, they sprayed the whole thing down. They were scrubbing the tires. You know, in vehicles you've watched, I'm sure, come in and out of here like nothing. They drive wherever they want, touch whatever they want.
You know what it reminds me of? The liaison's coming, so I'm just going to face this way too. But it reminds me of during COVID when they had the quarantine hotels, and then they were taking the people from the airport in a taxi, no disinfectant, and dropping them off at the quarantine hotel. It's such a joke.
So right away, I fly out, right?
Famous.
Oh, you're from Red Bull.
I am. All right, there you have it. So the farmers are walking back for their veterinarian. I don't know if you heard him. He goes, "Oh, you're from Rebel." I'm like, yeah. I was saying he's famous. Everybody's been waiting. He came all the way from the Lower Mainland. They said if he's going to do a statement, the public will know, the people will know, and of course the supporters here will know. But will the mainstream media allow their people to know? To be determined. They're very quiet about the very damning evidence, multiple footage that is suggesting, alleging, showing neglect of Spirit just before she died under the care of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. All right, it looks like now the marshmallow men, as they're calling them around, but really I believe it's the vet and some CFIA officials are coming out. So let's see what we can hear.
Camille, were we able to take blood today?
No, I wasn't able to any blood or any sample at all.
And this is the reason. This is the reason why, which is very important that we all pay attention here, because this is what we need to battle, and this is where we need to get to the top layers of this, and it's very important.
So basically the reason is, once you have a farm or any facility and any animal will test positive for avian influenza, any further sample has no effect on the outcome, which they're trying to basically cull those animals, right? So, and the main reason is Canada, it's the part of the international agreement, and that international agreement basically dictates what you have to do or what you cannot do. And simply at the end of the day, it's just about the dollars, because if the birds stay alive, you know, Canada is put on the bad spot, and you cannot export the meat or animal products or the bird products. And it doesn't matter whether it can be same with the tuberculosis and, you know, mad cow disease and any other diseases, and we've seen these in the past.
So again, we're going back to how important this is that we reform this whole thing. We start to talk across the international levels and say, how do we protect our industry without executing everything based off having a more test monitor approach? Can we have more time frame and a different outbreak response? So on an international level, it just doesn't matter. And once one is sick, everything must die, and that's what we're trying to change at Universal Ostrich Farms, and that's what's been reiterated to you, is that these men out there and women at Canadian Food Inspection Agency, for the most part, I mean, not one of them really want to be there, and they don't really understand, and they don't have the ability to make change. But that's what we're fighting for here, is to make that change, because these animals don't deserve to die just because they were associated with a possible illness that they don't have. And so Camille was very happy that we got to treat Betsy. Betsy, would you like to speak about Betsy?
Yeah, so the Betsy, she is an elderly ostrich, and Betsy has a chronic osteoarthritis over a hock. So we started to treat her. I put some treatment plan, ahead, and let Karen know what should be or what I would do. Otherwise I would say Betsy, she's well fed, she has enough of water, she's in good body condition, and she has a relatively happy life like any other older, species, human being or whoever, dog or cat, it doesn't matter, but she's a happy bird.
And then there was one alarming thing to that though. So Camille was able to treat her today, but in his request, can they repeat this treatment for us? And there was no. They can't. They asked him if he would come back and do it.
Why from the lower mainland?
Yeah. So did he give you a reason why? But
I think so. They didn't give me a reason, but I would probably assume me to practice vet medicine, I have to have a private license, and anybody who works for a government has a public license, and basically they just cannot treat the animals no matter what it is. They just simply, because they are not licensed to do that, so that would be really problem for them, and they could lose their license. So I understand, maybe they just cannot do it because it's a simple fact of licensing.
To me, I guess this raises another concern though. If we have somebody here that's as high as high up the totem pole as Canadian Food Inspection Agency at the federal level, and we have this much power and presence here, spending this many millions of dollars to show their force and kill. How do we not have someone have higher level of education?
Somebody could make a decision about that.
Exactly, and have somebody here to be able to, to maintain the welfare of the animals. But so that was that. We want to thank the Canadian Food Inspection Agency for allowing Camille to go into the general public, because there is animals of concern that were chased out of a pen that we have of injured animals. One had a broken big toe that he's just been living with the way it's healed. We had one half blind. We have Betsy. But the ones that they allowed Camille to go and look.
That was positive, and I do appreciate they took me there, because initially I was supposed to only see Betsy and not to go to general public. So we looked thoroughly, and we didn't find any lame birds. There were like 3 hens, the guy with the broken toe, and one was, I think, so blind, right? So we didn't manage to find anybody. So I would say that was pretty positive. Probably
it's positive for my sweet Camille. It's not positive for us, because if we can't find the ones that are
Yeah.
really the ones that we know of
So-
that have had isolated injuries. To us, it's where they're pretty noticeable, which I'm so grateful you got to look for them. But where did they go? And where are they right now? But that'll be something futuristically, because that's speculation, and nobody likes speculation. We actually would drive off science and honesty and transparency and truth, facts. We're fact driven, which I think you are very much too. And so we want to see where these animals are. But no blood. That they said very clearly that blood just does not make a difference. If every one of those animals, we've been told this in January, if every one of those animals tests negative, it doesn't matter. They still have to die to because of international trade.
One
And
case
that-
is enough.
Yeah, and that is a problem here, and that's what we're fighting for at Universal Ostrich Farms, is change for Canadian farmers, small farmers, resiliency. We're fighting for natural immunity and antibodies to be recognized, and herd immunity, and even if it's just a longer time frame, so that we can still preserve our international trade, but if we had a longer time frame to isolate, test, and monitor, and then retest, but giving a farm a little bit longer of a time while we're following the proper protocols to do so we're not affecting international trade. But overall, I think today was wonderful. They let you in. Thank you, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, for that, because this is really hard on us with Spirit dying, knowing those electrolytes were being dumped and not given to her, and the animal care was not being upheld, and obviously some neglect on our part was what we've witnessed. So it was nice to have somebody we trusted in there. So.
Lastly, I would like to add that I did appreciate they took me there, and I could also check the welfare for the animals. So the food is good. They're fed what farm provided. There
Did
is
they
a fresh.
tell you that, Camille, or did you see? They
I
probably
saw,
told you.
I saw the food there. I asked which kind of food is that,
Okay.
right? And I assume that's
Yeah,
the
just-
food they get.
yeah.
So they do get the fresh water. The fresh water comes with the hose. They get the sprays there as well. That's from the well, and they get the pond water. And as far as the bedding for resting, like straws, it's there. And they do get fed alfalfa as well as a green. They just don't eat the leaves. So from that aspect, I think so they've been taken care of well.
All right, there you have it. You heard it from the farm's vet themselves. There was a lot of information there. One of the things that stood out to me a lot is the fact that the CFIA has spent all of this money, all of these tax dollars, to engage in this standoff, this 2-week standoff against a multi-family run farm, when they know the Supreme Court, who knows how long they could take? They could take weeks, and we're paying for this. They couldn't have a qualified veterinarian here all the time. In fact, they've asked the farm's veterinarian to come back. I believe he's from the Lower Mainland, to do the proper checks and balances on these birds. Now, he says everything looks great. Now, of course, they knew he was coming. They also know the world just saw what happened to Spirit, the neglect and all of that. So I'm not surprised to hear that everything looks great today when the vet came. But the bottom line is, that is the power of the people. Now they know that they're being watched, and they actually have to do what they claim to do, which is animal health, and take care of these birds. And I gotta tell you, I keep saying this, if they kill those birds, who, as of today, I thought it was 266, but 265 days happy and healthy, except for, of course, the one that they're losing, and there's a few with some more injuries. If they kill these birds, I think they're going to have way more trouble on their hands than they think. The amount of trust that is already lost from this institution going to war with these farmers who won't back down, who won't sign a non-disclosure and take a check for each bird, it's massive. It's unprecedented. So here they are. They're coming and looking over here today. It's nice to see there's more than normal. And you know what? I wonder if that has anything to do with how all of a sudden they're eating good. I mean, maybe they were before. But those of you who have been seeing the coverage over the last couple of days know we haven't even seen this many ostriches coming to this corner and looking this happy. But somehow, magically, after the world sees these videos of neglect and the veterinarians coming, oh, look at that. It's starting to look like a little bit like when the farmers were here.
Anyways, as always, boots on the ground here, my home away from home at Universal Ostrich Farms, 301 Langill Road. And contrary to the fake news that came out in the CBC, protesters are still welcome to camp out here peacefully, as the farm always asks. The CBC stated the complete opposite the other day. So I'm here. My colleagues are continuing to come and give a helping hand. We do believe that this is a very important fight, whether all of Canada knows it or not. So keep following the story at savetheostriches.com.